morning, I'm Diane Smith, and thanks for joining us on this edition of Capitol Report Morning Update for Thursday, May 26th. Here's the latest from the state capitol this morning. Controversy concerning the budget implementer bill passed Tuesday in the House. You may recall that we told you about HB 6650 concerning budget provisions in the judicial branch and criminal justice contained parts of a bill out of the Judiciary Committee that would allow risk reduction credits for prison inmates to earn early release. During the debate, the co-chair of the Judiciary Committee assured everyone that the program would not apply to most violent offenders. But House Republicans say the language says something different. House Speaker Chris Donovan and House Minority Leader Larry Cafaro addressed the issue last night.
Generally, we're spending hours and hours on bills, and we're trying to be efficient and get work done. And this is a policy which is reflected in the budget. There are savings in the budget. It is outlined in the budget. This is proper to have it in an implementer. As the chairman said, as he explained it on the floor, apparently the minority leader differed with his analysis, and we're willing to correct that. And we believed earlier today that there was agreement from the Republican Party to do that. They rescinded on that, so that's fine. We're going to make that change so that everyone understands what the chairman said on the floor is reflected in the legislation.
I'm sure the overall motive might be good, but we were told when the program first was presented under the Rell administration, it would only apply to nonviolent felons. Quite frankly, somebody convicted of aggravated sexual assault against a minor to be given up to 300 days of early release time for good behavior does not make any sense to me whatsoever. Any sense to me whatsoever. And that is what the law that was passed out of the House yesterday says. So they have a problem because they're confusing the person who supposedly says, this is what I really meant. The guy who brought out the bill said, oops, I made a mistake. The administration say, no, we meant what I said. And then the legislature say, but we think we're going to try to fix it. Well, if it's not broke, in your opinion, why are you fixing it? So I don't get it.
So as far as that budget implementer at issue, it is currently in the Senate awaiting action, but it appears the amendment being prepared by the Democrats could be introduced on a separate bill. We'll make sure we keep you updated on that. Meanwhile, in other developments, the Senate debated the mandatory paid sick leave bill, that's SB 913, for 6 hours yesterday. It affects businesses with over 50 employees, with some exceptions, as the bill's sponsor, Edith Prague, introduced in a strike-all amendment.
What this amendment does is describes how the system is going to work. For employers of over 50 employees, each employee will have to work 1 hour will earn 1 hour of paid sick time for every 40 hours worked. The list of employees that will be entitled to this benefit is listed in the amendment. They are all service workers. There are some businesses, there are some places that are exempt, such as the YMCAs, manufacturers, but all the other service workers will be entitled to earn 1 hour for every 40 hours worked. After they have worked 680 hours, they can begin to use what they have accumulated, what they have earned in paid sick time.
The YMCAs have been taken out of the bill because they claim that it's confusing for them to keep the hours of their employees, but no other employer suffers from that problem. I'm on the board of trustees of a YMCA, Senator Prague, the Westport YMCA. It's a fantastic organization. You know what they are? They're the largest daycare provider in the town of Westport. So here we are passing a bill, and everybody who supports it says this is about food service, child care, elder care, and yet the largest child care provider in the town of Westport is exempted. So I guess some children are more important than others. That's what you're saying. Unless we've made a political calculation to get votes, we're saying that the children who are serviced at a YMCA don't deserve the same treatment as children elsewhere. We've been told that this is critically important to food service personnel because we don't want people getting sick from the food they eat. Yet the largest provider of food in my town, and I dare say any town in the state of Connecticut, is exempt from this bill.
The businessmen themselves are against it. The small businesses that get in touch with me, the people in my district, the emails I've received, and I know you've all received, over and over again from people saying not simply don't do this, but what could you possibly be thinking by doing this? These people are the people that are struggling with the problems of keeping a business alive. Why are we telling them what to do? How would we know better how they should conduct their own affairs than they do themselves? Here's the question I think we have to ask ourselves. Who do we think we are?
I rise to support this bill for the simple reason that most of the people that would benefit from this bill come from the low-paid sector. They come from the service industry. These people are paid very little, and sometimes they are women who have children, and they're single women. They have to take care of their children. And a person shouldn't have to, if their child gets sick, have to worry about their child being sick and take off to take care of their child, and then worry about whether they have a job after they attempt to return to work.
Senator Prague's amendment passed, 7 Republican amendments failed, and after a final vote of 18 to 17, SB 913 moves on to the House for consideration. Meanwhile, the House passed SB 942 yesterday concerning the integrity of elections. The bill is in response to the ballot shortages and other voting issues experienced in this past November's elections. The final vote, 117 to 26. It now goes to Governor Malloy for his signature. In the meanwhile, an informational forum is being held at 9:30 this morning on the Yukon Health Center bill, HB 1152. You'll be able to watch that here live on CTN. The bill is a work in progress, and the plan now seems to be to incorporate Governor Malloy's $800 million plus bioscience initiative. He talked about that a week ago. It includes the expansion and renovation of the Yukon Health Center. Legislators have so many questions about the proposal. Members of the Higher Education, Finance, Appropriations, Commerce, and Public Health Committees have invited Lieutenant Governor Nancy Wyman, the Commissioners of Labor and Economic and Community Development, as well as top Yukon officials to discuss the project and its impact in detail. And 2 of the people who will be there are joining me now live. Representative Roberta Willis, good morning. Thank you for coming. Diane. She, of course, is the co-chair of the Higher Education Committee, and State Representative Tim LeGeyt, and Tim is a Republican and the ranking member of that same committee, the Higher Education Committee. So perfect that you were able to be here with us today. Let's start with that Yukon plan, because it has been much talked about, and you're going to be going right up the escalator here to the session after this interview. Lots of excitement, but a lot of questions. Roberta, why don't you lay out the plan as we know it so far? Give us a few of the high points or talking points of the plan.
Well, this is the governor's plan on economic development to really grow Connecticut's bioscience industry. I think all of us have been talking about job creation in Connecticut, and this is really a bold step forward. Last year we did a plan based on an initiative that Jody Rell started, and that really was more focused on the healthcare piece and expanding that. This has some healthcare components to it because we will be expanding the primary care program and taking more doctors in and more dentists, students. So I'm very excited about that piece of it. But we do have a lot of questions. Why now? And I think I understand that, but I think the rest of the legislature needs to know that in order for this plan to move forward, we do need to make some decisions before the session's over. And
Representative LeGeyt, some of those questions have to do with the price tag and where are we going to come up with that money right now, and what are your questions about the whole plan?
Well, I price tag is significant. That's certainly a case. I think that there's a great possibility for the bioscience industry in Connecticut, and wrapping it around UConn Health Center makes good sense. I don't know that it's going to be easy, though, to dovetail that with all the concerns and needs that the rest of the hospital industry has in Connecticut, and so I wait for some of the details that are going to come out in this info session to find out how that's going.
What are you hearing from the hospitals? I know the last time that there was a plan to expand the health center, there was a great hue and cry from other hospitals in the region.
Well, I think there's a real concern because while there was agreement last time based on balancing bed numbers and balancing services, all of that is now back in the mix. Mm-hmm. So something has to be seriously talked about and negotiated, and I expect that that's probably already happening.
What we've been talking about, Ms. Willis, is not just short-term jobs, though, which might be involved if there is construction and or renovation or both, but we're talking about long-term jobs, maybe a few thousand of those in the biosciences. Now, some people have said, hey, we're doing bioscience down in southeastern Connecticut, not up in Farmington.
Well, I think we have started a program already at UConn with the stem cell research, so this is just building on that. When we looked at expanding the healthcare initiative last year, Governor Rell was talking about adding 5,000 jobs to the region, not just Hartford, but to Farmington Valley. This is really an expansion of that. We're looking at upwards of 16,000 jobs. I think the governor felt there was an opportunity now to maximize the potential for job growth, and that's why he's taking the next step forward right now.
One of the interesting things, I think, and I've been over there to see some of the research that they're doing in stem cells and otherwise, is that what the professors, many of whom are involved in this research, are telling their students is that you also have to have a plan to market this stuff. You know, we're going to create it, we're going to come up with an idea that might be patentable, and then you better be a business person and figure out how to be an entrepreneur, because that's where the future is, which to me was very exciting.
And it is. We've already seen the incubator space getting going at UConn with the stem cell. I do want to say about the Yale piece that we are already collaborating. UConn Health Center is already collaborating with UConn. They are very much a part of the stem cell initiative, and in fact, the state invested money in the Yale and the UConn Health Center. So we are trying to work together and grow Connecticut jobs, not just in this region, but statewide.
Let's talk about some of the other issues that are facing the higher education